Somewhere about 1957, whether or not he knew it, Eugene Stoner made the best piece of equipment on earth. I don't give a shit what you AK guys say. This, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be nomenclature correct, it could be many things. If you're just trying to bait people into raging out in your comment sections to boost your algorithms, it could be a whole different set of things. It could be the AR-15, M4, M16, it could be a ghost gun. Who gives a shit? We're not talking about it. What we're talking about is this, the clip. I'm kidding, I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that to you. I eroded your trust. This is the magazine. This is a steel beast of a magazine too. You can do a lot of things because it's steel. You can drop it, chuck it, fuck it, kick it, load it, shoot it. It doesn't care. Hell, use it over an open fire. I'm just kidding. You can't do that last one. I have proof because this one took a little tumble into a fire. Luckily, it was unloaded, so it seems fine. Not only was it unloaded, it was just an open fire. It wasn't a jet fuel fire that would melt this steel beam of a magazine. Because we all know that's how that works.
Now watch this dry.
Anyway, all it appears to have done is ruined the follower, the base plate's a little jacked up, but it didn't blow the sidewalls out. And it just got me thinking. I have an entire workshop here. I have an ultrasonic cleaner. I have a sandblasting cabinet. I have a Cerakote paint booth and a 3D printer. So what would stop me from 3D printing a follower, cleaning this up, Cerakoting it, maybe throw some laser engraving on it just for shits and giggles, and just restore this thing to its former glory? I don't think anything would stop me, and that's what we're gonna do today. I don't know if that broke the magazine, but it may have actually broke my toe. That actually fucking hurt. That was really fucking stupid. Oh, anyway, enjoy the video. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. All right, so like I was talking about, the magazine went in the fire, so it's all burnt to a crisp. Like when I pulled the spring out, I mean, like a chunk of melted plastic follower just fell out. I also found out that the spring took a permanent new shape, I guess. May not be able to use that, might have to buy a new spring. I have plans to try and make my own on the lathe that I think could be kind of fun, but I don't think I'm gonna have time for that on this one. Normally when I do an ultrasonic cleaning, the part that's getting cleaned goes in a Ziploc bag so I don't contaminate the entire tank over one part. This is kind of old. I'd like to swap it out anyway. Plus, if it's in the bag, you won't really get to see like the dispersion once I turn it on, and it makes the really annoying noise that I'm going to force you to listen to for a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to fire it up. I told you I was going to show you the whole thing. After this is the fun stuff: the sandblasting, the Cerakoting, the laser engraving. That's where it gets fun. But this is part of it, baby. Okay. Actually wound up not getting a whole lot off of it. I'm not entirely surprised, but anything that did come off is less that's going to be in my sandblasting media. The bonus to that is that water is actually still fine, so I don't really have to redo that. We will just have to let the sandblaster do the rest. So I'll let this dry out. I'll get the camera set up, so hopefully you guys can see some of that. All right, moving on to sandblasting. That is where you take a sandblasting cabinet, such as this one. It has a nozzle in there with a hose running into some sort of media that you're going to use to remove any crud that is on the object you pointed at. It uses a siphoning effect under high pressure air that you set depending on the material that you're blasting. Sucks that media up through the hose, out the nozzle, onto the part, and it breaks apart any of the paint, corrosion, whatever you're blasting off, and it also leaves behind a little bit of a profile in the metal that gives the Cerakote something to adhere to. While it's a highly effective process, it is quite the annoying one. It can be very loud and kind of dusty, which is why I actually spent some money and I got a ventilation system, or a dust collector rather. It's really annoying. I mean, just terrible. But I don't have to breathe in any of the media dust, so that's always good. But yeah, super annoying. The only thing more annoying is like a Applebee's manager throwing me out for having too many Dollaritas. Okay, moving on. In preparation of Cerakote, you have to do a little operation called a gas out. Now, I only know most of this stuff because your Cerakote kit comes with a little field training manual, and I often reference it to make sure I don't do anything wrong. Believe me, I still do tons of stuff wrong. But basically, after you get them all racked out in here, I just have like various hooks and things to hang it by. Heat metal parts in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. We only use Freedom units around here for 60 minutes. Gassing out will evaporate any remaining moisture and solvents and bring any remaining oils to the surface of the metal. At which point, if there are oils and stuff in the metal, you obviously can't Cerakote over those because then it'll ruin the coating. So then they go in an acetone bath, and then they get sandblasted, and then they get gassed out, and then acetone, sandblast, gas out until they're all completely oil-free. It can take a while, but that's what you got to do. That's why Cerakote can be so damn expensive. A really big oven. There are a lot of jokes that could go right there. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to grab the magazine out of the sandblaster. I'll chuck it in here, and I'll come back in an hour. Okay, 1 hour has elapsed. Hopefully it's the only hour, because if there's no oil residue, then we're good to go. We can just keep going. If there's oil residue, we gotta do this whole thing over again. Let's see what we get. Good deal. So from here on out, you want to try and not touch them with your fingers, because your fingies have oils in them. So we'll wear latex gloves, but I don't see any oil that was outgassed, so we can move on. All right, moving on in this process. It is time to mix up the Cerakote. I let it roll around in the lathe like that for about 20 minutes. I have been manually shaking the crap out of it. So if you go through your handy dandy Cerakote notebook, I should probably go to their training course for this, but whatever. Flat, matte, and semi-gloss, although Cerakote's never really like shiny. They do have a couple of their FX lines, which maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put a gold layer down, and then I'll put the gray over it, and then I can show you guys something cool with the laser engraver. You can actually remove just a single color of Cerakote, according to Mr. Snow Makes. I don't know, I'm not that good with it. And then that could be how I tell you guys about one of the other secrets. So that's what I'll do. All right, so that means I've got to mix up gold, put it back in the lathe, let it spin for a while. Mix up gold. We're gonna put down a base coat of gold. We're gonna do 12-to-1 ratio, because that's the semi-gloss, the most shiny that it can have. So how Cerakote works is you have a catalyst, and then you have a color, and you mix these at specified ratios in a Beaky Boy. And then once you have that specified ratio, you shake it up, you get it all nice and shaken up, pour it through a filter into your HVLP, what is that, high volume, low pressure paint gun. You do some test and tunes, and then you spray your now sandblasted and outgassed part. Simple as, right? Not simple as, because anything that you do wrong or that goes wrong with the coating is a restart. Unlike spray paint and other things like that, if you just rattle can it or do whatever, if you have a run or an error, you can just kind of sand it down real quick, spray back over it. Cerakote is back to square one. Bake it, sandblast the whole thing clean, make sure it's still outgassed properly, even though you shouldn't have touched it. I still always do it just in case. And then you start all over, mixing it, spraying it, blah, blah, blah. Probably like 2 minutes ago in this video, when I said I used the training manual and I still screw up, well, I've still screwed up. It was taco night last night. I got really excited to have tacos, and I did a full cure on this. And look, it's great. The gold turned out amazing. That's a gold magazine if I've ever seen one. The only problem is that's a full cure, which means this is done. It's hardened, it's done. I can't put another layer of color on it because it just won't adhere to it, because that's Cerakote's whole skin job. I'm going to have to sandblast this back down and then redo it, because I still want to do the two-tone. I want to do the gold underneath with the gray on top, laser engrave the gray off, and reveal a surprise. So I get to redo that. It's fine. If you want it nice, we'll do it twice. Fancy transition into doing that a week from now. All right, fresh out the oven. I think it actually turned out pretty good. There's a couple blemishes here and there. I think mostly because my ventilation is so poor, or it could have clumped up, but there's like tiny little bubbles. Honestly, if I don't point them out, You probably wouldn't even know they're there. This is gold underneath. There's still some where I didn't spray the inside because I wasn't too concerned about it. But here it is next to a factory mag. I think we got the color pretty good, not too bad, because I was going for kind of the stock look, except for what I'm gonna laser engrave for the surprise. So that portion of it is done. The Cerakote part, done, check it off. A couple blemishes, but nothing worth redoing the whole thing, I don't think. There was a company called White Knuckle Syndicate. I loved their stuff, and then when I went to make these videos, I was looking for some cool merch. Like this one is from Tier 3. I found it when I was looking to buy some white knuckle merch for these videos, and they were gone. They just disappeared. Found them under their new name, Worst Brand Worldwide, and approached them and I said, hey, I love White Knuckle Syndicate. If you don't know me, I grew up doing action sports, motocross, BMX. If it had wheels and it could kill me, I was on it. Then I did the military, deployed. I do all sorts of guns and explosives now. You may have known about the RPG deal where one of them blew up in my face. Just a lot of that white knuckle lifestyle. Always loved it. And so I was like, hey, if you're not using it anymore, might I acquire that from you? And so we struck a deal. And so I'm White Knuckle Syndicate now. I own it. It's my brand. And so that's what we're going to put on the magazine, because the White Knuckle Syndicate OG logo that I got with the company is just a cool little smiley face, and that's why the gold. So anyway, I own it. That's what we're gonna laser engrave on here. Let's actually go do that shit instead of talking about that shit. The way I'm envisioning this going, I've never lasered just one layer of Cerakote off before. So there's a thing that you can do with a laser engraver. I have one right here. We're gonna do one again just because maybe it's cool to watch. This is called a materials test. So it has different speed up here and different power down here, and then it gives you a nice grid whenever you use a new material, or if I'm trying to figure out how to get just one layer of the Cerakote off, I want to run a materials test, and then I will be able to tell which power and speed to set it at based on the frequency that I already have programmed into the laser. Yeah, we'll just slap some of my White Knuckle Syndicate smileys on this magazine, 3D print a follower, and then that's the magazine done, and we're gonna go do some shooting. I'm pretty sure like most of all of that's gonna be junk. I'm probably gonna wind up somewhere in here. So I think as long as, if I run that material test like there, and let's go as high as possible in case I need to do another one. I think that's gonna give me my answer. Let's run that. Away it goes. So I'm thinking, yeah, kind of what we thought. Anywhere in this region, really. So if we do like 7 or 8 and 3 to 4. But I can't read which one is which is why I like this plate. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so like 7, so let's go 8 on the power, so that's AD, and then 1, 2, 3, I think we said 3 or 4, so 400 speed, 80 power. And let's burn it. Man, it almost needs to be bigger to get the smiley stuff, so let's move over to that bigger ridge. Okay, tell you what, since it's still just a practice one, the ridges are gonna drop off a little bit, but we're going to accept that fate. And tell you what, to get some of the detail back, I'm gonna bump it down to 70 because we said 70 was also acceptable. So let's try that. That's what we're looking for. Yes, yes, yes. That nice yellow gold smiley. Oh boy. This one's for real, folks. No going back. All right. And there it is. The first ever use of my company logo. Let's flip it over somewhere in there. Boom. White Knuckle Syndicate branded. Here we go. One of these days, I'll get myself a really good printer with a camera on it and everything, and We'll include some printing montages, but spring in. That's the orientation that we're after. Cram it in there. All in all, a really good start, even without rounds in it. That means I did a decent job on the Cerakote then. It's not so thick. Cool, cool, cool. And that'll wear down over time where it needs to. You can't even see it. But you can see that white knuckle syndicate, boy. I don't think I'm gonna laser it all off. I think it's kind of funny that you can see all of the trial and error to get this done. I'm gonna clean this up, get a little honk shoeies, maybe some memes. All right, as you can see, we did it. Finally. Well, hopefully you can see that. I can't see my camera right now, but. It runs great. I appreciate you guys stopping by. All we really have in life is time, and you spent yours watching me do something that I like doing. That means a lot to me. If you do want to help monetarily though, there'll be some merch over at Bunker Branding. It'll be the smiley and some flags, stuff like that. It'll be a good time. So stick around for the next one. We're gonna do some software in the next one.